Right, welcome to the channel. So the Oscars have announced new inclusion requirements to be eligible for the Best Picture. Now, this is obviously very reactionary. I'm sure everyone can agree with that. Whether you think that it's good or bad, we can all agree that it's very reactionary. So what I want to do is just dissect kind of what exactly is going on. And we'll look at whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. There will be instantly a lot of people that will say it's bad, and there'll be a lot of people that will say no, it's definitely good because underrepresented voices and whatnot. Now, the broader scope of it being that it will encourage underrepresented groups is a good idea. Like, I'm sure we can all agree that the long-term thought of it. Not how they're implementing it, FYI, but what they aim is to basically get more underrepresented voices out there. That's a good thing. There's nothing wrong inherently with that. It's the implementation which I feel will actually just lead to people feeling like they're tokenized. There you go. That's what I genuinely think will happen. And I think that's a shame, right? Because I think ultimately this will call into question whether you're hired as a token gesture by the director or by the staff, the crew, the producers, just so you can be eligible. That's what this will breed. I genuinely think that. So the Diversity and Inclusion Initiative has been a heavy focus for the Oscars the past few years, shown by the expansive membership initiative. As part of the Academy Aperture 2025 initiative, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences announced Tuesday new representation and inclusion standards in order to be eligible in the Best Picture category. Now, for the 94th and 95th Oscars ceremonies scheduled for 2022 and 2023, a film will submit a confidential Academy Inclusion Standards form to be considered for Best Picture. Beginning in 2024, for the 96th Oscars, a film submitting for Best Picture will need to meet the inclusion thresholds by meeting 2 of the 4 standards. And we'll look into the standards in a minute, because when we go through this, I just want you all to know and really take a good long look at some of the most recent Oscar winners. Green Book, I think The Shape of Water, for instance. We had Parasite. Currently, what is going on, what the systems in place actually isn't hurting underrepresented voices. And I think that's evident by winners, genuinely. So when we go through the eligibility criteria, try and say that really quick, Christ. Let's just have a think about that, right? And again, remember, people will have to meet this criteria to be eligible. Therefore, regardless, of the main aim of representing and things like that, tokenization will happen. That's a fact. It will happen. There will be people simply hired because they want to meet these standards. And is that hollow? Is that shallow? I feel genuinely like that is shallow. And that's whether it's for white people, or whatever colour, it doesn't matter. Whether you like peen or vagine, it doesn't matter. That's hollow. I genuinely think that. And I think that's doing a disservice to people's skill set. All other Academy categories will keep their current eligibility requirements. Bear in mind, this will change. For categories such as animated feature, documentary feature, and international feature that submit for Best Picture consideration, they will be addressed separately. Strange, isn't it? Because surely international features for, an international film like Parasite, for instance, Best Picture nomination, that meets the criteria anyway. Isn't that strange? Don't you feel like this is purely only for the Western market, i.e. America, to appease genuinely the BLM revolution that's going on? Kind of sounds that way, doesn't it? Now, for a number of years, the Academy has struggled to nominate films that are diverse in its cast. No, they haven't. No, they haven't at all. Directors and technical craftspeople. In 2016, after they failed to nominate any person of colour among their 20 acting nominees, Cheryl Boone Isaacs, who was Academy President at the time, took historic action by committing to doubling the number of women and diverse members by 2020, which they have achieved. Now, again, that's not inherently bad. That's not inherently bad at all. But it does call into question the fact that they're saying, after they failed to nominate any person of colour. Now, in that, well, one, let's try and define that terminology, because generally speaking that just means black, which I feel is a shame, because I'm fairly certain that there would have been Hispanic people in there. Is that not a person of colour? Is that not, I don't think Hispanics consider themselves out and out to be, completely white. Correct me if I'm wrong, I genuinely don't know. I'm not trying to talk for anyone, but if person of colour is solely black people, then that sounds like it's doing that sounds unfair, quite frankly, doesn't it? And also, like I say, when it says they failed to nominate, well, unfortunately, there might not have been anyone good that year. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me, but that is a possibility, isn't it? It's not demonstrable that there absolutely was someone. And like I say, the action that they took from that is actually quite good, saying, oh, hey, well, let's double more women and diverse nominators to be able to nominate people of colour, I guess. There's nothing inherently bad about that if they feel the numbers needed to be increased. But it's the sort of the context and how it's implemented. So Academy President David Rubin and Academy CEO Dawn Hudson said in a joint statement, the aperture must widen to reflect our diverse global population in both the creation of motion pictures and in the audiences who connect with them. But then that statement is very, very hollow when the fact that you're saying that actually this doesn't account categories such as animated feature, documentary feature and international feature that submit for Best Picture, they're addressed separately. That statement is very hollow when we know that fact, because that is quite literally just pandering to America. So that's very hollow, isn't it? Let's be honest. Now, it continues further and says, the Academy is committed to playing a vital role in helping make this a reality. The Academy is committed to playing a vital role in helping make this a reality. So they said that twice, did they? Oh, said that 3 times. Jesus. God, they really, 2-3 times. They really meant that, didn't they? Now, here are the standards. Now, they must meet 2 of these 4. And again, if you can honestly sit there and tell me that people won't be tokenized as a result of this, because remember, this is not inherently bad. I'm pretty sure most people can say, like, well, hey, look, it would be good to get more people. Absolutely. Right? It'd be good to see more people. But you should encourage it and nurture it from the ground up, from the roots level, so people win on their merit and rise through the ranks that way. This is forcing a qualitative outcome rather than a qualitative opportunity, and that is really bad. Like I said, if you can honestly sit here and tell me that this won't lead to tokenization, then you probably had a brain aneurysm. I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is just a cold hard. Like, this. I could sit here and give you loads of... I'm sure we can find lots of evidence to say that this will demonstrably lead to tokenization. Anyway, A1, lead or significant supporting actors. Right? So at least one of the lead actors or significant supporting actors is from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. So Asian, Hispanic, Black, Indigenous, Middle Eastern, Native Hawaiian, or other underrepresented race or ethnicity. Now, when we go through this, let's think about like historical war dramas, for instance. Right? Like actual historical representations of pieces. Some of these won't stand for that at all. Some of them won't. They can't. Like this, some of them, that can't happen. That can't happen at all. Sadly. This first category, that rules them out. Absolutely. Now, general ensemble cast. At least 30% of all actors in secondary and more minor roles are from at least 2 of the following underrepresented groups. 30%. That, ladies and gents, isn't actually represented in our population, which is quite funny because they quite literally say here that we need it to reflect the population. 30% women or racial or ethnic. So imagine 30% of the cast is women in secondary roles. Again, think of historical dramas and things like that. That means that can't happen. That's not a possibility. They can't do that. Racial or ethnic group, yeah, that's of course, yeah, that makes perfect sense. That could happen. Again, some historical dramas would rule that out massively. LGBTQ+. Well, 30% of the populace, as again, I need to do some facts and figures and things like that, but I'd be very surprised if 30% of the populace is part of the LGBTQ+ community. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's the case. And I'm open to hearing that I am wrong there, FYI. People with cognitive or physical disabilities. Deaf or hard of hearing. Okay. So again, this will absolutely lead to tokenization and is absolutely not representative of the populace at large. Women, yeah, I mean, obviously, 30% of the world is more, a large part of the world is definitely 30% women, of course. But is it 30% women in sort of localized areas for these kind of things? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But again, tokenization at its finest. Main storyline subject matter. Here we go. It's got to meet, remember, it's got to meet two of these. The main storyline's themes or narratives of the film has to be centered on an underrepresented group. Right. Women, racial or ethnic group, LGBTQ+, or people with disabled elements. Wow. Okay. So achieve standard A, the film must meet one of these criteria. And then it must meet one of these following other criteria. So one of each of these. I mean, that's frightening. The fact that the main storyline subject matter is now being actively forced to center around just this. Do you not think from a creative and artistic perspective, right? I can say, without a shadow of a doubt, right? And this is why I went the crowdfunding route for my my debut film, Black Fields. It wouldn't hit any of these. None of those first. It wouldn't hit any of them. None at all. Hence why, and the BFI represents these kind of things, right? British Film Institute, whatever it's called. You can't get funding. That's why I had to go the GoFundMe route. Side note, I'm making another film which doesn't really hit any of these, so, well, plays on mental disorders, so you can find a link to that down below. It's a Lovecraft film. But this is insane. From a creative perspective, that would rule me out massively. I think this would genuinely rule out, FYI, Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings wouldn't get this. Lord of the Rings wouldn't get this. Wouldn't meet any of wouldn't meet any of this in the first one. This is what I'm telling you, guys. This is why this is wrong. This is wrong because it's going to remove films. If you go back and look at who has won in the past, Lord of the Rings wouldn't win. It wouldn't get nominated. This is insane. Anyway, so it must meet one of these other ones as well. So creative leadership and department heads. At least two of the following creative leadership positions and department heads, casting director, cinematographer, composer, costume designer, director, editor, hairstylist, makeup artist, producer, blah, 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 are from these underrepresented groups. Now, this actually makes sense, right? Now, normally I'd say, oh, definitely you're just being hired because of whatever. But having one of these department heads being in this category makes perfect sense. Why, ladies and gents? Because if you're forcing the narrative or the ensemble cast or the actual storyline having to be around these groups, yeah, you're hiring someone from the groups makes sense because you're a consultant, aren't you? Yeah, that sort of makes sense. But that's still absolute insanity. At least one of these positions must belong to the following underrepresented racial or ethnic group, and obviously has gone and listed them. Other key roles. At least 6 other crew, team and technical positions, including production assistants, are from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group. So, I mean, that's fine. Look, these things are absolutely fine. You know, to say that you can't get 6 crew members or teams from these underrepresented groups is insane. Right? But that could still lead, genuinely, to tokenization. They could probably look around and go, oh shit, we've got 5 guys. Just sack Timmy over there and we'll go get, Finola over there. We'll hire her instead because she's black and a woman. and she's bi. Epic. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what that's going to lead to eventually as well. So standard C and standard C. You must meet both criteria below. Oh my god. Anyway, paid apprenticeships and internships. Again, more FYI. Anyway, basically, they must meet all of these things, and it is absolute madness. At the end of the day, when to get grade A, when you're forcing storylines to be centered around that subject matter, you are forcing creative bankruptcy. Like, unfortunately, you are, and this is just going to lead to a dilution of stories. Well, or just more people thinking that the Oscars are a joke, which they have been for a really long time. And I should have started out the video saying that, because they are a joke. No one should take them seriously. They're a fucking waste of time. The sad part of this is that this trickles down to other funding. Like I say, so the BFI will take these things. They already have anyway. So you're not going to get any from the BFI. No funding. And this is why I strongly say that the future of filmmaking is in crowdfunding. Because this is going to stifle creativity. It absolutely is. Absolutely is. What a joke. What a joke. Oh no, actually, hold on. No, I didn't have 30% of the I didn't have 30% of the cast being women, sadly. I was going to say my film may have hit one of them, but it didn't. I had makeup artists that were women. Look, it's a joke. There you go. Don't know what to say to you. It is a joke. It makes the Oscars look even more like a joke. The Academy is a joke. Ha ha ha, we're laughing at you, fuckers. Actually, they're laughing at us, because I don't understand. How do they get money? What's going on here? Let me know your thoughts on this crap down below. I've missed the age. Take care.